Hi, my name is Samantha Neely, and I will be going over the strength and conditioning program that I created for my client for this critical assignment for fitness education. So, beginning with the functional movement screen, I completed the entire functional movement screen with a variety of tests to assess my client. My client was Lacey, and she was a 51-year-old woman. She had not had any experience with working out in the past at least 15 years. So she has been very sedentary. She has never had any training with lifting or using any more than 5 pound dumbbells at a time. So we were starting basically from scratch as far as her fitness level went. So I completed the series of tests, and something that stood out to me immediately was that she was not receiving threes on really any of the tests. So she ranged from 1 to 2 in all of the tests, and that was because she just was not able to move at optimal levels. Uh, Throughout most of the tests, including her trunk stability and her inline lunge, as well as her rotary stability, her core was not being activated in those tests, and it really showed with her lack of balance. And additionally, especially with the inline lunge, she felt uncomfortable doing it. She felt like she was going to fall, and that kind of instilled fear in her, which we never want our clients to feel that when they are performing exercises of any sort. So that was something that stood out to me immediately. Additionally, trying to perform the deep squat, the lunge, it was apparent that her ankle dorsiflexion was not awesome, and her knee flexion as well was not up to par. As we can see, as I mentioned before, there were overall deficits in flexibility, range of motion, and stability. So she kept on telling me that she felt that everything was tight and that it just wouldn't go beyond what she could do, um, which was definitely frustrating for her, and is something that I knew that we needed to work on to not only fix her limitations but also up her confidence. There was a lot of I can't do this, I can't do that, and I don't like hearing the word can't when I'm working with clients. So I like to focus on what we can work towards instead. Aren't necessarily able to do something in that moment, but that just leaves room for improvement in the future. So something that she made very clear was that she had naturally high arches, which she does have naturally high arches, and that was something that interested me from a biomechanical perspective because I never really thought about arch height and ability to do something as simple as a squat. So I looked into that a little bit, and I found a research article that looked at arch height and how it related to biomechanics. And something that I found was that the plantar fascia on the bottom of the foot supports that arch. And the higher the arch is, obviously there's a lot to support, and that plantar fascia is connected to the Achilles tendon, which goes into the calf. Now, Lacey was very tight everywhere. Her quads, her hamstrings, her calves, everything was tight. She has never rolled out on anything. She doesn't stretch daily. So everything is really locked up, which would make sense as to why her naturally high arches were just contributing more to that inability to move. When she was doing that deep squat, she could not get even to 90 degrees, but then when we put her heel on that board and lifted her heel off the ground a little bit, she was able to get significantly deeper into that squat. Something that was promising to me though was that when we were doing the clearance tests, we found that she basically in within her range of motion it was all pain free. So when she did get to her end range, it wasn't necessarily painful. It was just she couldn't get there anymore. But none of the movements that she was doing in those clearing tests were painful, which pain-free range of motion is always good range of motion, and that's what we ideally are going for. I also used the PAR-Q test, the scoring sheet, and there were no health concerns indicated on that. She is relatively healthy, just completely inexperienced when it comes to doing any sort of organized program. I was able to find articles on both the functional movement screen and the PAR-Q, and their reliability has been tested time and time again, and the reliability is very high, so I'm confident that these assessment methods really helped me create my strength and conditioning program for her moving forward. Moving on to the actual program, which I will include attached in this with this video, but I will just discuss my main thought process as I was creating this program. So my client and I came up with the goal of muscular strength. Now we came up with that goal because the research shows that the two top things that older women 50 and above deal with issues with is bone density and muscular strength. So it was evident that she was not engaging any of the muscles that she should have been engaging during those tests. So I wanted to work on activating those muscles a little and building up that strength so that she can perform activities of daily living and extra workout type activities if she desired. So I used a linear periodization model, which basically I just started out very simple. Like I said, she is not familiar with any sort of working out program, so I didn't want to overwhelm her with any sort of crazy workouts that jumped all over the place. Started out simple. I wanted to build confidence and allow her to believe that she's capable of doing things. I know Lacey personally, and I know that she will not want to continue with the exercise program if she feels that it's too difficult. So it's really important to get her bought into this exercise program. As the weeks progressed, I kept the same exercises, but I increased the sets and the reps. So the frequency or the intensity or the duration increased, but those exercises remained the same. I saw a study that suggested that keeping a client familiar with their exercises and allowing them to feel like they're in control of their program increases that efficacy and increases adherence to the workout program. So that was important to me because, like I said, with Lacey, I know that she can get through the workout. It's just getting her to buy into it to begin with. I created the video with the techniques that we went over that she struggled with a little bit. I will attach that in this next slide. Hi, my name is Samantha Neely, and I'm with my client Lacey Neely, and we are just going to discuss two of the exercises that she struggled with a little bit, and how we fix those a little bit along the way. So the first exercise is going to be a lower extremity exercise, and it is the goblet squat. With the goblet squat, we are using a dumbbell with the bottom of our palms holding the dumbbell, and we are going to have our feet just shoulder width apart, and we're just going to perform a simple squat, like so. Now it's important when we're doing this squat that we have our feet facing forward and not twisting out. We want to really anchor our feet to the ground and push our knees outward when we're going into the squat. That's going to create more torque and give us a little more power when performing the squat. So I'm going to go down one more time, pushing those knees out. I'm going to show from a side angle. We want to make sure we keep a neutral spine, activating the glutes, and also squeezing that belly button so that we're not going into an anterior pelvic tilt. So one more time, in here, keeping a tall torso, and back up. All right, go ahead. Take the dumbbell, take your position, and perform the goblet squat when you're ready. Now, something that we struggled with along the way is getting her down to 90 degrees. She's very, very tight in her quads and her hamstrings, and she doesn't like to activate her glute muscles a whole lot. So, something that I incorporated to fix that a little bit, since she doesn't have that range of motion, is having a little bit of a wider stance. So you can go ahead and fix your stance a little bit. A little less wide. There you go. And make sure those feet are facing forward. Yep. All right, so anchor those feet down and allow your knees to push out as you're doing the squat. Try it one more time. Now from the front, that looks pretty good, so we'll do a side angle now, a lateral view. I'm going to have her do it again. Go ahead and do it one more time. Now, go ahead and come back up. So ideally, we would like her to get down to 90 degrees. We're still working on it. But something that I have been working on with her as well is keeping that neutral spine all the way up through her cervical spine. So she tends to, as she gets lower into the squat position, to extend her neck and fall out of that neutral spine. So make sure that you're keeping that tall torso, keeping that neck neutral, squeezing the glutes, squeezing the belly button, okay? Anchor those feet down and try it one more time. Fix that neck. Nice. Go back up. I want you to pretend that you have a tennis ball in between your neck and your chin. That will help you just keep that neutral neck. You're putting your neck into flexion right now. All right. Better. Nice job. She has a nice straight back, sitting down into her squat, and that is what we like to see. So those are some of the cues that we worked on while fixing this, and we are still working on her ankle dorsiflexion and knee flexion, trying to get deeper into that squat. But for now, we got that wide stance, which allows her to not have to use so much dorsiflexion and knee flexion in that squat position. The upper extremity exercise that we struggled with a little bit were the I's, T's, and Y's. With this exercise, it is super important to activate your scapular muscles, and a lot of the time the upper trapezius wants to do all of the work. So I'm going to demonstrate for you one more time before you perform the exercise. We'll do it from a lateral view. We want to be on the yoga ball in a neutral position. So I'm going to have her up against this wall so that she has somewhere to put her feet. But we're going to be in a neutral position, really activating the core still. Every exercise, it's really important to activate that core. We're going to do eyes first. With the dumbbells, thumbs are going to be down. We're going to squeeze the scapular muscle, keeping that neutral spine all the way through the cervical spine. Back down. Then a T is going to be straight outward. And a Y is going to be out with your thumbs facing up. So it's really, really important that when we're doing this exercise that we are not tempted to use our trapezius, our upper trap, in this exercise, because that will be working the wrong muscles. As we were doing this, also it's really important to breathe. All right, so don't forget to breathe while we're doing this. That was something that she struggled with while doing this exercise, and it just creates that pressure in your abdomen, and you're not activating your core as much. All right, so let's grab the dumbbells. Take your position. You can go ahead and put your feet up against the wall right here. Give yourself some added stability. Does that feel all right? All right, so go ahead and perform the Y. Squeeze those scap muscles. There you go, perfect. And back down. Go ahead and do the T. Nice job. Remember to breathe. There you go, back down. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And go ahead and do the Y. Now the Y, perfect. Good angle. It's not going to be right in front of us, but it's going to be more at a Y position, kind of like a cheerleader pose. All right, and then back down. Great. Now she's doing a lot better keeping those traps relaxed. That's something that we've been working on, and she's doing a really great job on that. So if we can move the camera for a lateral angle just so we could see her keeping that neutral spine. Go ahead and do your I, T, and Y one more time, each one rep for each. Your I, nice. As you can see here, she does a much better job keeping that cervical spine neutral, which is great. Remember to breathe. And Y. Nice job. After learning more about how to create a strength and conditioning program and what the key components were, I feel like the biggest thing that I took away from this, besides the physical technique, was that people skills are just as important as knowledge about the topic. So it is so important that you are able to be knowledgeable about the topic so that the person that you're working with feels confident in you and what you are telling them. But it is additionally important to just be a people person and really get to know them on a personal level. Um, People will buy into your program if they feel that they can trust you. So, number one thing is just to speak to them as if they are a person, not act like you are above them or all knowing or anything like that. But just make them feel like you're alongside them in the journey that they are going through. I am a college volleyball coach, an assistant coach, so I am relating this back to coaching athletes. I feel that as an athlete myself, when I was going through high school and college, um, a lot of my coaches did not have experience um, in strength and conditioning programs, creating those things. They gave us workouts, and now realizing that there is so much more to creating exercise programs than just, picking up a dumbbell and doing random exercises, I feel like I am able to create targeted exercise programs for my athletes. So, um, whether we're working on muscular endurance or muscular strength, playing with that one rep max percentage and then determining how many reps to do. I feel like a lot of athletes don't push themselves enough to create that power and strength that they need for sports, specifically for volleyball. So I'm excited to be able to incorporate that a little bit more and work with our strength and conditioning trainers on that. Um, Something that I want to continue to work on is just mastering the exercise techniques and understanding everything, what it's supposed to look like. I feel like I've grown a lot while doing this assignment, but just developing that intuition a little bit more and just being able to recognize when something just seems a little bit off. Um, so yeah, and then faith integration. I really just love the integration between athletics and faith. So I picked a couple verses that I have clung to as an athlete and as a coach. So the first one is Proverbs 1:4-5, and that one says, "These proverbs will make even those without education smart. They will teach young people what they need to know and how to use what they have learned. Even the wise could become wiser by listening to these proverbs. They will gain understanding and learn to solve difficult problems." So, although this is slightly taking it out of context, which I need to be careful about because I know we shouldn't take things out of context too much, but as it is talking about the proverbs and as it is talking about the importance of gaining that knowledge and not being above any sort of knowledge, and then additionally sharing that knowledge with others, I feel like I want to relate that to strength and conditioning in the way that we are given this gift of knowledge as master students, as exercise physiologists, as coaches, all of that stuff. And I just want to continue to encourage everyone to pursue that knowledge. And just because we know some things doesn't mean that we know all things. And there's always more things to learn in order to help our athletes that we are training. And additionally, educating our athletes. So not just um, pushing information on them and telling them to do something just because, but to really allow them to understand why they're doing it so that they can buy into the program and also just be able to share that knowledge with other people. I think that's really important. The next one is Proverbs 27:17. So we're still in the Proverbs, and this one is just a simple one, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So it kind of goes along with the theme as well of just treating people as your equal, not treating them below you, or just recognizing other people's strengths. So even though you're the professional and the master of the specific field of the client that you're helping, just realizing that you can learn from your client still, and that it's kind of a give and take relationship, and it's a journey that you guys are going on together. So just loving on that person, being just super supportive of that person is important in that journey. And then the third one is Philippians 4:13, and that is probably one of the most well-known verses among athletes, and it is, I can do all through him who gives me strength. Just knowing our profession is so focused on the physical body, and I think that when we feel strong and we are strong, we feel like we can do almost anything, but just remembering to rely on Christ and remembering to rely on each other, and that we build each other up, and we are made to be in community with each other. So um, just keeping that center around Jesus Christ, and just doing all things for him.